This is a Dreamcast disc and is for use only on a Dreamcast unit. Playing this disc on a hi-fi or other audio equipment can cause serious damage to its speakers.
Dreamcast, up to 6 billion players.
Welcome back to the stage of history.
Why don't we play together?
Hey, it's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go!
Please stop this disc now.
Hello and welcome to the Dreamcast Junkyard DreamPod, episode 135. And this one we're doing a Halloween special. You're here with me, Harvey, aka Pizza Hotline. I've been on a few pods in the past, but only as a guest, and this is my first time hosting, so everyone please be nice to me.
Crap.
Yeah. I can edit out the heckling, don't worry. And when I say everyone, I want to introduce our guests for this evening on this lovely Halloween night. We've got Mr. Derek Pascarella, our American boy. How you doing, Derek?
I'm doing great, feeling very American, very happy to be here.
I can feel the American. It's seeping over the pond. I love it.
Well, you know, it stings a little bit, but that's how you know it works.
Very good, very good. We got some Northern Soul from up north, our very own Mike Rocks. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, up, not bad. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, not too shabby. Thank you very much.
You're sweating yet on hosting?
I am, yeah, sweating like hell. And then we've got Loz from. How are you, Loz?
Evening all. Thanks for just doxing me there. It's great. I'm feeling good, mate. I'm actually really excited because we're off the leash tonight. We haven't got Lewis or Tom or any of the others to look over us, so you know we can just go a bit crazy.
We can do all sorts of awful things.
That's going to need scary noises, isn't it?
Yeah, good. I'll dox you a bit more later, Loz. Don't worry. And last but not least, we've got Dominic, aka Dreamcast Enjoyer, our very spooky special guest for this Halloween evening. How you doing, Dom?
Hello, Harvey. Doing good, and might I say you're doing a fine job of hosting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want anyone to have a go at me from heaven and hell, so I got to get on side early.
You're a smart man, Dom. I like you. So, for this Halloween episode, we thought we'd continue the excellent Heaven and Hell series and wrap it up into a Halloween episode. The Heaven and Hell series was started originally by Tom, Andrew and Lewis back in 2020. And if you haven't heard these episodes, I urge you to press pause right now and go back and listen to them. They're episodes 79 and 81, and they're parts 1 and 2 of Heaven and Hell, respectively. So welcome to Heaven and Hell Part 3. And because it's a Halloween episode, we've gone with the subheading Dreamy or Screamy. So what the hell is Heaven and Hell? If you're asking yourself, I'll explain. Heaven and Hell is where each member of the pod chooses 2 Dreamcast games from the library. One they find particularly heavenly and one they might find particularly hellish. Or I guess tonight it's one they find dreamy or one they find screaming. Ooh. And they have to tell us why and make a good case for why one is hell or one is hellish to them. And to make part 3 interesting, I've encouraged all of our guests tonight to dig a little deeper into the library and not to go for the usual top 10 suspects, so avoiding the old Soul Caliburs and the old Spirits of Speedses. I want hidden gems, gentlemen, and hidden turds too, although it is fine to choose the more popular games if you fancy. And I thought it'd just be a little more interesting if we dig for stuff, because we're so far into the episode count right now. We've covered people on previous pods have covered so many games that it's good to, go for some more interesting or lesser known games. And I've been thinking this week about what heaven means and what hell means to me. And I kind of landed on that a heaven game is something that's not necessarily, it doesn't need to be objectively good, but it's kind of the sort of game I can chuck on no matter what mood I'm in or what kind of day it is or whatever, and I'll always enjoy it. But it might not be perfect, but there's usually one or two aspects that really, really speak to me, and that to me is kind of what heaven would be in a game. And hell would be something that's maybe, personally infuriating, tries my patience, has poor controls, no character, charisma, or just generally isn't fun. I remember in a previous episode, Lewis chose rhythm games for one of his hell picks, or for his hell pick. And I thought that was quite an interesting choice, because instead of going for a game, he went for a whole category of games, because he found them hellish, where other people might find rhythm games pretty fun.
I think that's a protection of Lewis having no rhythm.
Perhaps, yeah. But some another really interesting one from a previous episode is when Kev controversially chose Rez for his Hell game, which I quite enjoyed, because Rez is a sacred cow of the library, even though I do like Rez, of course.
He made an amazing speech, though. I was listening to that episode this morning, and he prepared such a stump speech for it.
He did, didn't he?
To dress it down, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's become one of the core appeals of this podcast format, where it doesn't matter what you say as long as you can create a really good case for it, and that's, Kev really went out on a limb there, kind of picking one of the best games on the console, and he made a good case for it. And Martin chose GTA 2, which I found really interesting, for his Heaven game, and he made a really good case for why as well, which I loved. And yeah, stuff like this is good because it rocks the boat, and when you rock the boat, you get a good podcast, apparently. And after my waffle, I was just about to ask you a little icebreaker question. And I've got a spooky wheel of death here with everyone's names on it. And when I spin it, we're going to choose who's going to answer the question first. And the question is, what game is best played on Halloween? And it doesn't need to be a Dreamcast game. I'm spinning the wheel of death if anyone's interested.
And it goes nice.
And it's landed on Mike.
That's a fix.
Yeah.
Absolute fix. So, Halloween game. I'm actually going to be quite common here and say Sonic Adventure 2 just for Pumpkin Hill.
That's a good choice. I've never gotten very far into Sonic Adventure 2.
It's not worth it, and that's going to get a lot of people firing a load of hate, but
well, that's
Sonic
what we
Adventure 2 is overrated. But Pumpkin Hill looks amazing, and
cool.
It's got a little Knuckles rap tune.
Fantastic. I'm gonna look up that later. That's really cool. All right then. Does someone want to go next, or do you want me to spin the spooky wheel of death?
Spin the wheel.
Yeah, spin the wheel, but we also need a remix of that Knuckles rap tune.
Okay, it landed on Mike again. I'm going to spin it again. How do I take a name?
I told you this was fixed.
What kind of jank bootleg wheel are you using over there? What is this?
I'm using a jank in-browser.
I think he's finding out I've actually hacked his browser, but this was meant to get his credit card details.
Derek, it's just landed on you.
Oh my God. Ask and ye shall receive.
Yeah.
Let's see. A game that's great to play on Halloween. Well, I'm going to say, because I really don't have any issue with shameless self-promotion, and for the reason that I would say it's a game that not many have played, because it was never something you could play in English. But that's right, folks. I'm going Death Crimson 2 on the Sega Dreamcast.
Oh, he's done it.
Yeah, I've done it.
That's
and
sick.
you know why? But I'm picking it because, shameless self-promotion, that was half a joke. But really, it is such a bizarre, spooky game that nobody would ever have been able to play before in the English-speaking world, at least not with understanding. Actually, I take that back. If you didn't understand what was happening, there was zero way to progress through that game without using a guide or, obviously something like Google Lens. But I choose it rather, because it's actually a decent little game, at least to play through once. a lot of character, a lot of spookiness, very campy, very B-movie. And if you ask me, that's a recipe for Halloween success, my friends.
Fantastic. I like that. And maybe we could go on to Dominic now, because Dominic, you're quite interested in Death Crimson, aren't you?
Oh yeah, it's an excellent game. Let me rephrase that. It's going to come off as a blazing hot take. It's an extremely interesting game. I think I'd be hard pushed to say excellent. There's some jank there, but it's a lot of fun. And what I liked was the mix of the light gun shooting with the little survival horror exploration. It's really cool. So you want my Halloween pick?
Yeah, let's go for it.
I think this is going to be an obvious one, but it's got to be Illbleed.
That is the actual good answer, by the way. That's the I was going to say that, but I said somebody on here, probably Dominic, is going to say it. So I was
worried it was predictable, but it's because it's like a little haunted house experience. You got your big hub world, and then every stage is like a differently themed haunted house, and they all have lots of like references to horror films and stuff. I just think it's the perfect game to play on Halloween, and again, it's really janky and at times not the best game, but I think it's got a great atmosphere to it, and it's so cheesy and bonkers. So
I actually put Illbleed as mine as well, and I've actually written next to it, but I still don't know how to play it. So can you maybe explain to the listeners how the hell you play it? Because you use the senses to. Anyway, I had a terrible time when I tried to play it.
It's really hard. So I bounced off it 3 times, and the only reason I stuck with it is because it's a game from Shinya Nishigaki, who made Blue Stinger, which is like my favorite game of all time. So I was like, well, there's got to be something here. The system in it's really interesting. It doesn't exactly work, but the theory is really cool. So yeah, you have all your senses along the top, so sight, hearing, smell, all this kind of stuff, and they boop up and down like a heart monitor. The idea of the game is, rather than being focused on combat or whatever, you're trying to avoid your character getting too scared. You don't want them to like have a heart attack or something. So you have to look around with this thing called a horror monitor and mark what you think is going to be scary. So if like your sight's going up really high and there's a TV nearby, you might mark that because you're like, oh, it's going to be a visual spook, stuff like that. So it's an interesting system, although it doesn't always work as it should. It's hard to play.
Okay, nice one. Well, thanks for explaining that, because I'm gonna maybe give it a crack this Halloween. And you just done a really good video on it on your YouTube channel.
Thank you.
So I thought I'd plug that. But Lars, did you have Illbleed as yours?
No, hell no.
Wow, hell no. Calm the fuck down.
I say hell no just because. I have no shame admitting this. I've never played Illbleed, so that's why I haven't put it. Not because I don't think it'd be a good game. It's one of those Dreamcast games where it's like I've read a lot about it, I've watched videos on it, I've listened to Lewis talk about it at length, and it's like it kind of gets to that point where it's like, okay, I know a lot about this game. I've just never played it yet. So no, the selection I was going to go for. Initially, I thought we were going to limit this to Dreamcast games, and I was going to say PBA Bowling 2001. And I was going to say that because...
Interesting.
It makes me scared and confused every time I load it up. I just do not know how to comprehend the control scheme, and because it was never released officially, there's no manual to guide me. And then also, as a Brit... The intro video, if you let it play, I mean, the culture shock from that alone is just enough to make me want to curl up and hide. So that was going to be my answer. Just very briefly, given that we've opened it up, I would probably say Medieval on the PS1, or maybe even one of the Abe's Odyssey games on the PS1.
Mate, Medieval's a solid choice. What a good game.
Yeah, man. Just, I mean, it's just kind of like if Tim Burton made a PS1 game, I feel, visually.
Yeah. And PBA Bowling would be a great choice because, well, for me anyway, I think that game's haunted because every time I try and boot it up, it just crashes. Every single time. I've never played it. It just crashes every time.
Yeah. It's truly a horrific game.
right then. Well, with the icebreaker out of the way, let's get into it, shall we? So I thought we could start off by doing our hell games. That would be fun. Get the crap out of the way first, and I will spin the spooky wheel of death, and we'll see who's going to be first. It's spinning. I promise. It's not rigged. And it's landed on Dominic.
Oh, hello. So I've got to be the first one to become unpopular by saying I don't like something. So I have chosen for my hell game a game that I believe is pretty popular. I've chosen Ikaruga.
Oh my god!
Anybody like it? Oh yeah. No! Are you a big Ikaruga stan, Derek?
I'm not a big one, but I thought you were the Dreamcast Enjoyer. I thought you were the Enjoyer. And all I see is you coming on this fine broadcast and shit talking a fantastic shooter. I'm going back on mute.
Oh no!
I'm just teasing you.
Hey, I would normally be enjoy. I've been given the specific task to not enjoy something, so I had to dig deep.
That's a good choice, man. That game fucking drives me mad.
Yeah, I don't like it because I'm not really a big shmup guy. Not that I think there's anything wrong with the genre, but I'm just crap at it, and I don't have the attention span to get good. So the shmups that I am interested in are usually just ones with a lot of character. Like I like Parodius and Game Tengoku on the Saturn, and I like Radaji on the Dreamcast. Like stuff that's more like colourful and cartoony and a bit wacky. Whereas Ikaruga is like quite serious, I guess, from what I can gather. Like it's pretty no frills. Like you're just a spaceship on a mission, and the other spaceships are just, they all look realistic. And so then all you're left with is this really technical, challenging game that I could never get very far in it. So to me, that's like hell because it stresses me out.
I applaud this selection, by the way, Dominic.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad someone's in my corner.
Yeah, I'm gonna get on putting the firing squad as well, because I hate this game too. I think it's sexy and it looks cool and it's smooth and stylish, but that yin yang mechanic, I just can't. My brain will not understand it. There's something inside my head that just doesn't. I cannot flick between them. It's really cool and innovative, but I just cannot get my head around it.
I like the idea of, like you said, the polarity. Like, if you turn, I can't remember, is it if you turn a dark color, you can absorb dark bullets, and then if you turn the lighter color, you can something like that. But it's cool in theory, and obviously, I guess it's really cool once you've mastered it. But I was never able to.
Well, I can say I've completed Ikaruga in the arcade.
We got a chat on the podcast.
I'll say I've completed Ikaruga, but it was free play at Arcade Club, but it doesn't matter if you use 200 credits, does it?
I've never managed to complete Ikaruga, and I think that's one of the reasons I was saying I was applauding just out of my own personal shame.
It's a lot easier in the arcade because it's pay to win.
Well, I was just going to ask Derek. So, Derek, you seem particularly dissatisfied with that. Tell us why you like it so much.
No, I must be very clear. So I was obviously just breaking a little balls there, but I think Ikaruga probably has a special place in my heart because it was a relatively late Dreamcast release. So back then, like in 2002, I think it was 2002. I don't think it was 03. I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty positive it was.
Derek, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. I'm still holding on to what's left of my mental faculties. Love it. All right, so yeah, it was like a big deal back then. Like, oh my God, we got another new game. Oh, let me guess, it's a shmup. Okay, well, that's fine. I'm going to play it. Actually, those late Dreamcast days bore quite a bit of resemblance to the early indie days of just shmup, 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 shmup. Yo, dog, I heard you like shmups, type of thing. But cool. No, I just always enjoyed the game, but I'm not at all like a shoot 'em up master. And to complete most shooters, I usually need infinite continues. There's very few across like any old console that I've actually just organically completed without cheating. And I'm just, no shame. That's just how it is. They're very tough games. You got quite quick reflexes to be good at them. And but I just enjoy like the mechanics of it all, like picking up the controller. Just I'm talking about the shoot 'em up genre in general, by the way, not Ikaruga specifically. But yeah, I just enjoy the mechanics of it. It's one of those, we talked about games you could just throw on and just play it. That's definitely one of them. It doesn't mean I'm going to get far. But yeah, that's my piece.
No, I rate that. That's cool.
I think that comes back to what I said, doesn't it? Because in the arcade, you just keep putting quarters in. You're not capped at 5 credits. So when I was at Arcade Club, I was actually able to just spam the credits and actually see the ending. I think it was Shmuck Junkie covered it. And I have a lot of appreciation for the game. But like I say, it's just too technical for a layman.
Yeah.
Or an idiot northerner like me.
Now that I know they've got it at Arcade Club, because that's local to me as well. Not wanted to dox you, mate, but I think another one you mean. I didn't know they had it there, so I might just go and try and blast it on free play and see if I can get any joy out of it that way.
They've got like a little room with a load of Japanese cabinets in, and it's one of the machines in there.
Yeah, is that on the second floor with the candy cabs? Was it? Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
It is, yeah. It's like it used to be the pinball room.
I go in there to play Samurai Showdown and stuff.
Nice. Good pick. All right, then. So I might spin the spooky wheel of death again and see who's going next. And there's a huge flaw. It might land back on you, Dom, but let's go for it.
If it does, I've got other picks.
I'm quite happy to hear Ikaruga getting called out as a hell game again.
Yeah. Oh, I've actually got it set so it only lands on Mike every time. It is rigged. No, I'm joking. It's actually just landed on Loz.
Oh, okay.
So, Lawrence, tell us your game. Tell us your
I shall. I'm ready.
Make sure it's a good one.
Get this off my
Make sure it's a good one.
Well, it's a bit late. I can't change it now, though.
I guess that's true.
So we'll have to see. You might think it's a bad one, but tough. So my hell pick is Pod 2, or as it's known over across the pond in North America, Pod Speed Zone. And there are just a whole heap of charges that I'd like to press against this game. I think it's got a rap sheet that really goes on for days and days and days, but I'll try to focus on just a few things. I think to start with, and what stands out to me every time I boot it up, is the game is just hideously ugly. Aside from the neon menus, everything is just drenched in a kind of piss-stained colour palette that is really unappealing, and it just makes the entire world seem drab, like really, really drab. And then, secondly, for what is meant to be an out-of-this-world alien species racing game, the tracks and cars are just horrendously mundane. And take the cars, for example. I mean, for a start, do they have to be cars? I mean, if we're talking about an out-of-this-world game, they could have been anything, really. And then what we do get is essentially just a heap of mutated VW Beetles that all blend together. There's just nothing there that's distinctive. And then the names alone are, it's like it was a late stage and someone had no idea what they were doing, so they just picked up an encyclopedia or something, because all the names of the cars are just animals. It's like piranha, viper, cougar, really, for an alien racing
you gotta
game.
like that.
That's pretty sick, actually.
and then lastly, just one last thing. The online multiplayer mode, even with a full contingent of 4 players on a track, is just straight up boring. You don't get a sense at all that you're competing neck and neck with your competitors as you should in a good racing game. I don't know if it's just because there's so many different routes that you can take on the track and they're so kind of big, but it just feels like you're racing and there happen to be some other folks somewhere on the track. And so, yeah, it's just very lifeless. As I said, it's an ugly, ugly game. And I could just I could just do without it in my life.
I totally I totally agree with you. I played it once or maybe twice, and it was online, and it was when me and you were playing online quite a lot. But I didn't play with you. I played with someone else who I'm not going to dox, and I had the exact same feeling of racing, but it was the entire race. I didn't see the other person, not once, because the tracks are just too massive. They're really, really massive, and it's just a poor racing game, and it's guilty of that noughties brown. You know, like in the noughties, you had a lot of brown games, like the kind of Quake and like Red Faction. It reminds me of Red Faction a bit. Just it's brown. It's the color of shit. It's shit.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, you said
eloquently put. Has anyone else played Pod?
I've never played it, but I'm not going to now. It sounds like it fucking sucks.
It's exactly how you've described it. Just speed devils online in an alien planet with zero personality.
I haven't played this one in ages, but I got to tell you, I kind of want to now. I mean, you described it as a drab world, and I got to tell you, I think the world itself is just, it might be a little drab, like the actual world.
And you love cougars, Derek.
Well, I mean, I didn't say that, but anyway, no, no, I'm just teasing. But like, in all seriousness, I actually need to. I've had this on my ODE's SD card forever, and I had a burnt disc of it back in the day, but that was just because. Desperately just playing everything because it was free. So surely I've played it, but I can't remember anything. I'm looking at screenshots now. I see what you mean about that, that horrible puke kind of hue that just covers the landscape. But I got to try this now. I got to see if it's actually as shitty as everybody says, because we also heard that Ikaruga is apparently trash, so who knows?
I never used the word trash, Derek. I just couldn't get into it.
I think it answers why Monaco Grand Prix Online happened. I think Ubisoft would just make it online, do it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, just one last point on this. I think perhaps another crime that I cannot confirm is that from what I can gather, the first pod that was, I believe, a PC exclusive is beloved. And is meant to be a fantastic game. I've never actually played it. So if that's true, then it's just kind of ruined the legacy.
It's why I was excited for this coming to Dreamcast, because it actually was a really decent early 3D accelerated racing game.
Then what did they do to it?
Put it in Speed Devils and made it look like Quake.
So what's this Speed Devils relationship?
I'm pretty certain it's the exact same engine. Yeah, I think it's the Speed Devils Online side as well. I think they did Pod before they did Speed Devils, but I'm pretty sure they all share the same engine. Share the same engine.
So, Mike, would it be your contention that they just kind of drabbed it up a little bit, kind of thing?
Oh, I like to say, it's like with Monaco Online. Why does it exist?
Horrible, Mike, it was a horrible joke that didn't land at all. I just thought it was funny calling it a drab world. All right, I'll work on better jokes for the rest of the show. I'm going back on mute.
Say mute.
Okay, all right. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Derek, if you ever want to go online with a Dream Pie, I'll play with you on Pod.
You know what? I've got two active Dream Pies in this house, one in my office and one in my living room. I must be some type of idiot savant. But yeah, I'll play Pod Speed Zone. I'll do it online. I'll do it.
Sounds good. All right, then. Let's spin the spooky wheel of death, and I'll play some Halloween music. All right, Mr. Rocks, do your thing. Mike Rocks?
Dear.
Is your second name... I guess Rocks
it's
is just
my online thing, yeah.
Online
I'm afraid so.
That's
his
cool.
stage name.
Exactly. So...
I'm just trying to get you to dox yourself.
So my hell, Fighting Force 2.
Careful, Mike.
I don't know. That's a legit pick. That's a good pick.
I'm not going to be careful. I'm not going to hold any punches. It's just so goddamn boring.
Go ahead.
I never played it.
But it's worse than that, because Fighting Force was like Streets of Rage 4 as pitched by core design makers of Tomb Raider. And it was actually a pretty decent 3D brawler for all intents and purposes. It was no Dynamite Cop or anything, but it was a perfectly solid 3D brawler, everything you'd expect from it. And then they go, Fighting Force 2 coming to Dreamcast. And I'm like, wow, this is going to be absolutely amazing. And even when you read the box, it sounds really cool. So it's stunning new 3D engine, fierce hand-to-hand combat, over 20 lethal weapons, over 50 unique enemy types, and you're like, oh, this is going to be like the brawler to end all brawlers. Core are just knocking it out of the park, left, right, and centre. And then you play it, and it's literally just in rectangular rooms.
I'm watching it right now. It looks like a sluggish, horrible, chuggy thing that you go into the same fucking room over and over. It's like that film Cube.
There you go.
The horror film.
Mike, I am so with you. I loved the first Fighting Force game on PlayStation. Like, my friends and I played the hell out of that thing back in the day. And I don't understand how they butchered and massacred that IP so badly for Fighting Force 2. I'm with you 1,000% on this one.
What a shame.
The saddest thing is, I can't even call it bad. It is semi-competent, but it's when you're expecting like Fighting Force 2 to be Streets of Rage 4, Streets of Rage 5, and then you get what you got. It's just
Yeah, the one thing that I'm seeing is it looks really sluggish. Like, is it like a chuggy frame rate?
No, it's actually a pretty solid frame rate. It's just that's how it controls.
Yeah, it kind of looks like he's ice skating a bit. He's like floating as he walks. Yeah, man, I've seen this game pop up a bit, but I've never even looked into it. And I noticed, when you were reading the case, is that because you use it as your drinks coaster on your desk?
Pretty much,
You put your tea on it, yeah. Anyone else played this game?
Yeah, I like it.
It takes all kinds, right?
Go on, Dom.
No,
I'll stand behind you.
No, I can't pop out and say I didn't like Ikaruga and then say I do like this, but I have some really weird misplaced nostalgia. I can't remember if I just kept renting this game for some reason or if I actually ended up buying it. I don't own it now, so if I did buy it, I don't know what happened to it. But I just have a memory of one summer playing this a lot for some reason, and I don't know, I think I just Stockholm syndromed myself into thinking it was good, and now I can't get that part of my brain out.
Was it when you were allowed one game a year, and so you made it count regardless?
It was like I come from like a very working class family, so we didn't have a lot of money. So like what you got, you made the most of. And I think I got this, and I was just like, well, it's not very good, but I'll find something in it. And I ended up enjoying it weirdly.
That does happen, though, and the weirdly placed nostalgia, that's such an accurate way to describe it, because there are so many things, I'm sure all of us, right? Things that we grew up on that, like, you look back and you're like, that was objectively horrible, but yet I love it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know, like, some people love this game, and so do I, but I'm a little bit like that with Blue Stinger. Like, it's like a wonderful form of self-harm, playing it.
No, I don't even think that's misplaced. That's just a good game. It's just a banger.
Yeah, your YouTube video is called Blue Stinger is the most underrated game of all time. I love that as a title.
It's my honest opinion.
Yeah. Loz, what do you think about Fighting Force?
Fighting Force 2. I mean, I think it's serviceable. I played it a little bit when I first got my Dreamcast because it was like one of these games that I got in a bundle, of smashed up cases with random discs here and there. And yeah, I mean, I played it for probably an afternoon and had some fun with it. But yeah, maybe my memories of it are a little bit swayed by the fact that I was just on the high of having just picked up my secondhand Dreamcast from GameStation and just being, overwhelmed. Yeah, I haven't played it in a long time, so it's one to revisit. I mean, especially if this guy Dreamcast Enjoyer does a video on it, then maybe I could be persuaded.
You know what? Maybe one in the works then.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to watch that. Like, I love watching your videos in general because you tend to kind of look at games that, you look at all sorts of games, but you do show me games that I wouldn't have otherwise kind of looked into, and I love that.
Thanks. I try and think of what is janky or weird that people probably didn't give a look at, and Fighting Force 2 is Well, Mike gave it a look, and he didn't think very much of it. But maybe I could show it in a new light. Who knows?
Well, that's just what Heaven and Hell's about. Let's do Derek, and then we'll do me.
Oh, that sounds kinky. Let's go. All right. So my my hell game, and I don't think I'm going to lose friends or any sort of like street cred on this one, but I got to be honest. This is just what you asked, right? A game that no matter how the rest of the Dreamcast scene perceives it, we just don't enjoy it, and we actually are like perturbed by it. My choice is Floygan Brothers.
Oh,
high
great.
five.
So,
That's such a soft target. How dare you?
Tell us what do you think about Floyd?
Okay,
Brothers,
I mean,
please.
you ever see like Seinfeld with the Festivus, and he's like, I got some problems with you people, and you're going to hear it. Right? That's kind of how I feel. I feel like Frank. But let me start out with a few good things, because there are things about this that still to this very goddamn day make me sometimes pick it up to say, maybe I was the one who was wrong. Maybe it's actually good. So the music, I like the music. I like the characters, their voices, the accents. The whole thing reminds me of like old Warner Brothers cartoons. It has a lot of character, and like nobody could take that away from it. Although I do remember, was it Bernie Stoller, who said something to the tune of like Floygan Brothers is going to do for the Dreamcast or do for Sega what Super Mario did for Nintendo?
No, Bernie.
Does anyone here remember?
Did he really say that?
Did he
Somebody
say that?
do a quick. Somebody do a fact.
He did.
Okay,
say
he
it.
did. All right.
Oh, that's
So that
so
right there
wrong.
is like, yo, put down the crack pipe. Take it easy, Bernie. So, and I got to say, I love puzzle games, and not just like Tetris or Column style, but like I love ones that kind of have like that platform element to them, kind of like Mario vs. Donkey Kong, or even like Choo Choo Rocket, or even like Mrs. Pac-Man, who actually Mike, you turned me on to that. You mentioned give it a try, and I got to tell you, I actually did. I played it for like 3 hours, man. It was really good. I'm going to play it again too. So those types of games,
You absolutely should do.
well, thank you, and I will, and I am. So those types of games I do like, but Floygan Brothers, it's like, okay, there's the things that just grate me. First of all, I said I enjoy the accents, the characters, but like they recorded a small number of little bits of dialogue lines, like little reactions and one-liners, and they just like recycle and repeat them over and over, which wouldn't be so bad if it weren't for the fact that it takes you an eternity to actually solve some of these stages. And like the puzzle gaming element, to me, it's just not fun. Like to me, it felt like I was checking boxes more than like intuitively exploring a stage, figuring out what I needed to do to get this to that, blah, 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 blah. It felt like each time I would win, are you winning, son? Each time I would clear a stage, it was like a fucking finally feeling instead of like, yes, I did it. You know what I mean? Like it just had that feeling. And I'm like, this is not what games are supposed to be about. And therefore, Floygan Brothers is my hell game. How you doing? Take it or leave it. That's what it is.
That game, like I find the way it looks quite impressive. It's like really colorful.
And the animation,
like
100%. The way, like the fluidity of like the cartoony element to the way 3D objects kind of like move. It was not a sloppily designed game when you talk about the artwork or like the engine. Like that's for sure. There was a lot of attention paid to it, but those things do not make a good game, as we all know, right?
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Like, back to what I was saying. When I booted up, I was like, "Wow, this looks amazing! Why doesn't anyone talk about this?" And in a few minutes, I learnt why. Because it's just like I just turned it off. I just thought my girlfriend was with me at the time, and the look on her face, man, like she was like, Harvey, you play some freaking terrible games, but this is up there.
Oh wow, you get that look too, huh?
So is
wow.
it? Yeah. It's a puzzle game, is it? I didn't get that far.
That might be. I'd be curious to see what like the official genre is. Maybe one of our friends here can check on that while I'm blabbering like an idiot. But it's sort of like a puzzle solving, like figure out what you need to do to complete the stage, which involves weird little mechanics and abilities and skills that you learn and like move this there. It's just like that. None of that on its face sounds bad per se, but it's just executed in such a way that like not even the awesome classic, like I said, Warner Brothers cartoons kind of style can make it enjoyable to me. And who knows, maybe one day I'll play this again and be like, oh my God, I was so wrong. We need to print we need to like address this on the next episode of the DreamPod. What was I saying? But for now, yeah, it's hot garbage for me.
I kind of view it as an interactive point and click. And then it was meant to be episodic as well.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia, it's an action adventure.
Action adventure, huh? I mean, the point and click element, I could see that.
It's Floygan Brothers episode 1, so I'm waiting for episode 2 any day now. It's coming.
Oh, that's the best part about it. Yes, that
it's so funny that
the name implies that they were like, guys, this is going to be so fucking good. This is just the beginning. You understand me? Just the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you not think, though, we live in an age of such irony that they could make Floygan Brothers episode 2 and put it on Steam now and people would probably buy it, ironically? Yeah. I think that could happen.
They would. And also somebody pointed out in a previous episode of the DreamPod that it's one of the only Dreamcast games set in a junkyard.
Holy shit.
Oh, nice.
Hold on a second.
Oh, Max Steel's like that too. First level on Max Steel's a junkyard.
Demolition Racer.
And so I think there's a junkyard in Shenmue 2, but it's obviously not set in it.
Shh. Don't let these facts get in the way of a good story here.
Yeah. Are you a journalist or something? No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway, Floygan Brothers episode 1, that's a really good choice, Derek.
Thank you.
And how about you, Pizza? We need to hear.
Me. What is hell to me on the Dreamcast? I had quite a few things rattling around my brain, but I landed on Seventh Cross Evolution. It's a Japan and North American exclusive, and it's an abortion of a game. It really is. It's my friend Dan. He'd never heard of it before, and he burnt it for himself. And he played it, and then he stopped playing it, and then when he hung out, we used to share games a lot, and he came to me and he would give me like his old burned games that he would give me, and he said, "I'm going to give you this, and I'm really sorry, because this isn't a gift. This is more of a punishment." That's what he said to me when he gave it to me, and I remember, and I took it home and I put it in, and it's just well, it centers around the concept of evolution, and you begin as like an organism, and you slowly have to evolve into bigger and more powerful beings. But the evolution system is like, it doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or rhythm to how it works. I was just like moving around the area, and I bumped into a rock, and I evolved. And it, like there's no signposting that tells you kind of what to do next or how to progress. The controls are really tedious, and there's no analog support. When a Dreamcast game doesn't have analog support, for me, I'm just like, how could you? This is so annoying. And like, why would it just is a hallmark of lazy game design that. Like the analog stick does nothing. The gameplay is really slow moving. Like it progresses very slowly. There's no signposting, as I already said. The evolving system just makes no sense. There's no plot, and the way the aesthetic quality of the levels is just sad and eerie and depressing. It's almost a bit like, it feels like Microsoft Windows 95 screensaver. You know that screensaver in the maze? Was that 95? You know the like maze, and it's like
brick walls,
just like a plain. Yeah, it's brick walls, but you could change the walls, couldn't you? Mm-hmm. And the game gives me that feeling. It's this like empty, strange, meaningless 3D space that you have to move around in. And when I played it, I just felt a bit sad and alone. And it's just a terribly low effort game. And I just want to know who signed it off. It's so bad. I found an IGN review of it from January 2000, and they gave it 4.2 out of 10.
Too much water.
I've got the Dreamcast Encyclopedia here, and I've actually got the book. This is live reading with an analog media format. Are you ready for this? I've got the 7th Cross Evolution review here, and it begins with, "This odd game starts you off as a tiny blob, unable to do much. You have to swim around and eat each other, eat other small organisms around you, and evolve to your 4th stage, which is called Origin. At this point, you develop the ability to perform very basic attacks, but are still basically prey for almost every other creature. The aim is to eat as much food as you can while avoiding being eaten yourself and using the nutrients from the food you eat to evolve your body parts. These can be evolved at different rates and into different things. So by the end of the game, you may have a monkey's head, lobster's arms, the body of a laser horse, and human legs. Finally, a game that represents me." I hope Chris Scullion's listening because that's really funny.
There's an interesting thing with this. I've no idea if it's true because, like you say, it's like you're just in this pool getting killed by crabs for like 6 hours.
That's it, yeah.
And then you eventually make your way to a slightly bigger pool where bigger crabs kill you and eat you for another 6 hours. But I have seen things that make it almost look like a Godzilla sort of beast fighting game at the late stage.
No way. Do you think it's maybe good towards the end and no one's ever got there?
Possibly. I don't know.
My God,
I think
giant
somebody
crab
needs to find
fighting.
out.
Yeah, Dom, have you played this?
Yeah, I played about the first 2 hours of it.
Fair play.
We were talking before that it took up an entire VMU on its own. It's like 3 times as big as Shenmue, the file size. It's crazy. So I was thinking, how big's this game going to be? But yeah, I didn't get past the pool with the crabs. They just kept killing me. I could never evolve. I evolved from like an amoeba into a squid, and then that was about it.
There is one redeeming feature of the game, and it's the soundtrack is pretty good. And I'm probably going to sprinkle some of it in this episode. But yeah, some of the when I first booted up, I played the music. I was like, all right, we're in for a good game here. And yeah, it just flopped so hard. It's a terrible game.
Good music makes an average game really good, but good music can't save a terrible game.
It can't drag it out of hell, that's for sure. Anyone else play this game?
That I have not, but I'm telling you, I've seen video and screenshots of this over the years, and it's one of those ones where you wonder, like, how could this have happened? Like, how many people had to sit in a room and like greenlight this thing? I don't know. It just seems like you described it as an abortion of a game. I mean, I think that might be the most accurate descriptor I've ever heard.
There's a reason it didn't come out in Europe.
Oh, I see. You guys are too good for the crap games. Too good for the crap games, huh, Mike? Okay.
Absolutely. Definitely.
All right.
We just have exhibition of speed.
Yeah, I think it's just like desperation. They're like, we need more stuff. Like, the Dreamcast is failing. It's like, what games can we kind of put out next? And they're like, we've got this one. It's about a crab. They're like, yeah, just crab. That sounds good. Just put it out. Stick it on a disc. Yeah. Don't put it in Europe. They don't like big crabs. Put it in America. They like big things.
It was, from what I recall, I think it was pretty early. I think it was a pretty early release. So
that's even worse.
It may have been the case that it was basically, like a glorified tech demo.
I think it was one of those games like Blue Stinger where it was clearly meant to be on the Sega Saturn. And then they were like, well, that's dead now. So do we put it on something else? Well, Sega's got this new thing. Let's put it on that. And then obviously, unlike Blue Stinger, it passed the sanity test of, this definitely doesn't need releasing in Europe.
Has anybody... So this game is a collab by famous developer Hunex, if you've ever heard of them, and UFO Interactive Games. Has anybody played the other Hunex UFO joint? It's called Industrial Spy Operation Espionage.
I was going to say, it's that espionage thing.
It's, yeah.
Again, it did not pass the European check.
Yeah, but that's an interesting game, dude.
I mean, I played it and my takeaway was that it was awful. But is it good if you can kind of penetrate it?
What, Seventh Cross or Industrial Spy?
Industrial Spy, Operation Espionage.
Good. I don't know if it's really interesting because it's like a real-time tactical thing that's not about fighting. It's about like spying and breaking into facilities to, I don't know, steal art or deactivate. It's kind of like a B-Tech Mission Impossible, I guess. But I found it interesting. I played the first 3 stages. Probably not clamoring for more, but it's certainly better than Southern Cross.
Cool. All right then. If everyone's done slagging off Seventh Cross Evolution, I could hear more.
I actually quite enjoyed Seventh Cross until I couldn't figure out how to evolve. Like I say, I put about 5 or 6 hours in, and then I started watching videos, and I'm like, how on earth have they got these massive creatures that are doing all this combat and fighting? I honestly feel like there's like a late stage game that nobody's discovered, or it's all like a troll. But
it really could be
Codebreaker, I think.
Yeah. Well, if anyone is out there and they decide to get to the end of the game, please send us an email and let us know if you're still alive. So let's go for some heavenly games or some dreamy games. Dom, if you want to tell us about your heavenly game, your dreamy game, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I jotted down 3. I'm looking at them now. In the spirit of the brief, I'm actually going to go with the most obscure one, which is a game called Taco no Marine.
Ooh.
We heard of that one, guys?
Oh, hell yeah.
I have heard of it. I've seen it on eBay plenty of times and just never... It's got the little octopus on the front, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's like a little girl and an octopus friend. Derek's certainly heard of it because I was mithering him about if a translation's ever going to happen. You said, Derek, it's like really hard to translate.
There's some inherent challenges with it. I mean, every game is challenging, but one of the things that would just make it an extra pain in the balls is the fact that it uses vertical text for all the dialogue. So you have to rewrite all the text rendering routines and do all the math differently. So instead of, okay, let's place the next glyph, like the next character, X pixels below the first one and auto size those little kind of like speech bubbles, you'd have to change all the math to not only start like left to right, but also do it horizontal. Then you got to see how the auto sizing of the speech bubbles would work. And I would love to, because it's such a cool looking game, but I don't know. If I could quit my job, man, I would do all this shit full time, dude, 100%.
Well, I think we should crowdfund you to do it because it's one of my favorite games I've played in the last few years, but I've got no idea what's going on really. But I'll try and explain it as best I can.
So did you play it with a guide?
No, so it's actually not. It's not hard to play because it's a puzzle game, and a lot of what's happening is physics. So roll this bomb into this fence or get this thing out of this jar. You can get through it without understanding Japanese, but you won't understand why you're doing the things.
I see.
That sounds like it makes more sense than Wetrix.
It does. I'll give you the premise of the game as far as I understand it. It starts off with this little girl, and the first thing you'll notice about it is it's 2D sprites and a 3D world. Oh well, the little girl, the main character, she's a 2D sprite on this 3D world, a little bit like what Bulk Slash looks like on the Saturn, but it's all sort of colourful and candy coloured and cute. Her and her dad, I think, are looking at this big pot or vase, and then something magical happens, and either her dad disappears and gets replaced by an octopus, or he turns into an octopus. Not clear which. But then that octopus becomes your friend, and you have to go on a magical mission to rescue other people who've been turned into creatures. But basically, it's like a point-and-click puzzle game. You go into little zones that are all connected by flags, so you can jump back and between the zones, and you have to move around the map. Find these funny-looking creatures, turn them back into humans, and there's a boss at the end of each zone that you fight with a variety of interesting methods. It's really cool. It's really interesting. Basically, the way it works is you can't move the girl around freely. Like I say, you have to click on objects, and it's about working out the correct order to do things in and the correct direction to come at things from. A little bit like Choo Choo Rocket, but it's on a big 3D plane.
It looks it's a good looking game. I can't believe I've never heard of it. Would I be right in saying that it's a little bit like Lost Golem?
Yeah, it is not a million miles away from Lost Golem, but we're with Lost Golem, that's in real time, and you've got to do everything while the king's like bumbling around and like fucking your day up. This is more you can sit back and take your time, like you can with Choo Choo Rocket. You know, you can do trial and error. So you could be like, oh, what would happen if I set things up in this order of events, and then see what it happens, and then you just click a flag and it resets the level. So it's like you're just trying things out to see how you get through the stage. It's really cool. I've not played many things like it. But yeah, Lost Golem's not a million miles away.
Cool. No, this is cool. Thank you for bringing it forward. This is awesome.
And I should probably explain why I think it's a heaven game as well, because it seems like a really random choice. I just started playing it on a whim, probably sometime last year, and I just found it really relaxing and de-stressing. Even though it's a puzzle game, there's no real kind of difficult head scratches in there. And there's some satisfaction of just watching this like cute little character bumble around the stages doing these little tasks. There's a lot of like personality to the game, and it's very bite-sized. You can dip in and out of it. It's just a really nice game.
Very nice, very nice. I just had a bit of an eBay look, and it's like it must be a rare game, or just it's expensive, which is always
I've just been speculating on eBay and pumping the price.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Typical Mike. And awesome choice, Dominic. That was awesome. I'm actually very pleasantly surprised to see that one come up today. So, woo!
Thank you. And anything to add, Derek? Anything you feel like I've missed in trying to sum that up?
No, that was great, man. You've undoubtedly played way more of it than I have. But like, just a comment, I guess maybe further on the visual style. I love that it has that odd like mix of 3D and 2D, right? It kind of it's something you saw a fair bit of around that time. It's almost like the Love Hina games, the first of which I'm still working on, and God knows when the hell I'll ever finish it. But like 3D environment, but like 2D character sprites who they change with perspective as you kind of move around and stuff. It's a really appealing art style. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I guess actually Paper Mario as well, now that I think about it, has that look as well, obviously because he's paper. But yeah, the Love Hina games, they look really cool.
All right, Lawrence, you've been a bit quiet over there. Have you got something heavenly for us?
Oh, you best bet I do.
Floyd Brothers episode 2. Sorry, did I spoil it before you said it?
No. It's okay. It's all right. I'll just ensure you never host another episode ever again. No. My pick is a game called Under Defeat, and
I love it.
For those who are unfamiliar, this is a vertically orientated shoot 'em up where you are basically tasked with guiding a helicopter through 5 stages of a sort of faux World War II environment. And as with any shmup, you're battling constant streams of enemies that are coming at you over land, sea, and air. It was developed by G-Rev and initially released on the Naomi arcade system, but then it was ported over to the Dreamcast in 2006. And as far as I'm concerned, it is an absolutely sublime game that offers an immensely enjoyable gameplay loop that, after nearly 20 years now, I've still yet to get tired of. So, I mean, the game lacks the bells and whistles that its contemporaries had. So we already spoke about Ikaruga, and obviously that has a very interesting and, much celebrated polarizing mechanic in it.
Not celebrated tonight.
Not tonight, not tonight. But I think objectively, that is the case. So Under Defeat lacks anything like that, but the fundamentals are executed so well and they pull together so neatly that I think it just doesn't matter. So before tonight's pod, I was contemplating this game, and I was trying to distill, where my enjoyment comes from and get it down into some actual semi-comprehensible points, which was very tough. But I've landed on this. I've got 3 for you. So, firstly, the act of blowing shit up in this game gives you the sense of satisfaction that it should. Basically, your outgoing fire feels impactful. The explosions pack oomph, and you're left with these beautiful plumes of black smoke that you just leave behind in your wake as the screen scrolls upwards. I don't think G-Rev's design brief would have put it this way, but basically it feels like you're giving these lads that are coming down at you a really good walloping. That's what it feels like to me. So that's the first point. Secondly, I just absolutely adore the visuals of this game. The stages are really wonderfully detailed. And although they do offer some variety, the differences aren't jarring, as I think they are in some games. It all knits together seamlessly. And then the colour palette is these darker military colours that you expect, given the kind of faux World War II atmosphere. But your helicopter is a kind of subtle pink pastel shade, which just... It's just a really gorgeous contrast, I feel. And then I must shut up eventually. So the last aspect that I'll highlight is that it has this fantastic 2-player mode. And in my experience, that has genuinely been one of the best couch co-op experiences that I've had on the console. You don't need to be shmup aficionados at all. I'm not really a shmup aficionado. I'm into a few. I'm not that great. I've played it with people who've never, probably never played a shmup before, or if they have, it's been very brief, and we've just had a blast. So, I think that's something that's quite unique about Under Defeat, and I'll give it a break there.
That's a really good choice. I know what you mean about I'm just watching. I've never played it. I'm just looking at some footage now, but the detailed little cannons on the battleships and stuff, and the whole land sea air thing's a brilliant idea. It's a nice looking game. It actually reminds me of Zero Gunner 2 a little bit, which is my favorite shmup. But yeah, great choice, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll commend that choice as well, because even though I was dunking on a shmup before, I really like this one. This might be my favorite shmup on the Dreamcast. I think you've really done a good job of singing its praises there. But yeah, it's something I can enjoy as a casual player. It looks great. It's a lot of fun. I don't know. Just something about it just really grabs me.
Yeah, I would say seconded or thirded on that one. And it has a little English translation patch that guy named Tapomen did. Yeah, it's a great little shmup. The Dreamcast has so many of these good shooters. It really does.
Does that mean I have to forfeit?
Was that your choice?
No, it's an absolutely stunning game. It is G-Rev's worst Dreamcast game, but it's still a really, really good game.
Wait, which other ones did they do?
Border Down.
Oh, yeah, that looks
the best
amazing.
shoot 'em up ever. So
I prefer this to Border Down, but Border Down's great, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just all the little details, isn't it? It's like the trees blowing the wind of the rotors from the choppers, and it's just a perfect package. It got a re-release on the 360 and PS3, and it honestly doesn't look any better other than the resolution being increased. They add absolutely nothing to it. The funniest thing is, had I thought about import games, I only thought about this list from a PAL perspective, and it's like, actually, yeah, there'd probably been something like that I'd have gone for if I'd been thinking outside the box.
So this game So as I said, it came out in 2006, and it was actually marketed by GRev as the last ever Dreamcast game. That's how they marketed it. And I don't know if they knew that they were wrong or not, but either way, it was a genius move because it created this hype at the time that some of the other kind of late releases hadn't got. And this game moved numbers. I mean, obviously compared to, I don't know, what else?
Floygan Brothers.
Other games that were coming out at the time. But for a Dreamcast game, it shifted numbers. Like, I'm pretty sure it sold 10,000 plus copies.
I think PlayAsia absolutely loved that marketing thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think they were lying. Sega ran out of GD-ROMs, didn't they, that they could actually publish games on?
They were 100% lying because 2 more games came out the next year, but they might have assumed that they were going to be the last. But either way, it was genius. And what I love about it is that it even got Sega to sell refurbished Dreamcasts with this as a pack-in game,
really,
and a poster on Sega Direct in 2006. I mean, it's just.
What? Have you found that site, or how did you know about that?
I can remember it from the time because I'm a old geezer now. But also, you can find it on if you go on the web archives.
That's fascinating. I guess they were just trying to shift their old console stock, and they were just finding ways to, like, if there was a good game, they just pack it in and try and flog more of them to get rid of the consoles.
Totally.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's also, by the way, there's a patch to use the analog stick with that game. I don't know necessarily why anybody would want to, but if you do, and you're on this call, or rather this recording, or if you're listening to it, get in touch with me. I'll send it to you if you want it.
I'll have it just to try it.
Yeah, shoot me a message. Remind me. I'll send you a link.
If you've got any patches for Floygan Brothers, send me those too.
Yes, the official unshit patch. It just when you boot the game up, it just powers off the Dreamcast automatically, and you go and do literally anything else.
Now that's a useful patch.
Yeah,
Mike, what is heavenly to you on the Dreamcast?
Well, like I said, I've kind of focused on the PAL specific era for this podcast, but my absolute heaven is Tokyo Highway Challenge.
Fantastic choice.
It's weird. It never did well sales wise, but actually it's my favourite racing game on the system, and I mean the first one, not the second one. It perfectly has the Initial D Eurobeat style soundtrack that just makes I can just play it for hours on end. I can even just cruise around the tiny little section of the C1 Tokyo Highway. But it's just it's a beautiful game. The concept is you're an illegal street racer, which in 1999 was quite a new concept because I don't think Fast and the Furious had kind of popularised it at that point, and nobody in the West knew what Initial D was. But you're basically driving out on the open road, challenging people to 1v1 races, and then you've got like Street Fighter 2 style power bars, and whoever's out in front is depleting the power bar of the person that's behind. But it's all done on real roads with real cars. And before Need for Speed Underground, I don't think many games really had the level of customization and upgrades that you have for the vehicles in this game. I may be wrong there, but I'm sure somebody's going to tell me now.
Based on my knowledge, I think you're right there. Like, I never played this back in the day, but I played Need for Speed Underground back in the day, which came out way later. But when I played Tokyo Highway Challenge, very a couple of years ago, I was like, oh my God, they were doing this way before Need for Speed was getting anywhere near this kind of thing. And I was quite pleasantly surprised. And I agree with you that the first one's better than the second one, but I don't know why. I just remember not wanting to turn the first one off and getting bored on the second one. Is it the handling?
I think objectively the second game's probably better than the first one as it obviously carried on, went onto the PS2 and then on the 360 had Import Tuner Challenge. But it's just, I think there was just something about that concise single, 10-mile loop of road that you could go either way on. And it was just the whole thing of it. It's nighttime. You're going out on the streets. You're challenging other street racers to battles. And then when you beat all the people of a particular gang, that gang leader then comes and challenges you.
Oh, and they got such funny names, haven't they? The gang leaders have names. It's like Diamond Boys.
Yes, I mean, Rolling Guy is my favourite gang.
Rolling Guy.
I really want to get a car sticker put in my car window for that.
That's so funny, man. That's a beautifully niche Dreamcast reference right there.
But it's like, there's over 200 opponents in it, and I finished the game no less than 10 times since it came out now. I just absolutely love it.
So cool. And it looks fantastic over, like with, I've got the what do you call it? It looks great over when you get it on a modern telly, when you get it over a DC HDMI.
I'm going to say it's the thing of, it's like 1999. What did you have? You had Gran Turismo 1. You had whatever the N64 was doing. And then there was suddenly this game at 60 frames a second with these incredibly detailed car models for the time. And then that real-time lighting. It was just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and of course they're remaking it. Well, they're making Tokyo Highway Challenge now.
They are, and I've seen the Genki logo on it, and it's like, okay, I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm so interested. I've been messaging them to see if I can make them some music for it, but they haven't replied, sadly. They're busy. But yeah, I
can't afford you, mate.
I'm so keen to play that modern remake. It's going to be. Is it a remake of the first one, or is it just kind of a reimagining?
I think it's just another entry from the look of it.
Cool, brilliant. I'm so here for it.
Given the Dreamcast one wasn't the original entry in the series, it's been going since like the early 90s.
Oh yeah, of course. What about you other guys? Have you guys played this game?
Oh yeah, of course. And graphically, this still stands as like one of the most beautiful, at least to me, one of the most beautiful Dreamcast games. Played so much of this back in the old days. I loved it.
Yeah, I actually haven't played it, but I didn't know, Mike, the way you're describing it there, that you kind of drive around and challenge people, made it sound like there's a little bit more than just your Daytona or your Sega Rally, where you're just, going through like an arcade mode. It sounds a little bit deeper than that, which I didn't realize. So I'm kind of interested to check it out now.
I'd kind of call it one of the earlier CarPGs, because every race you win, you get credits, and then you can spend them upgrading your car. So you might find you've hit a rival that you can't beat, but you go back and race a few people that you've already smoked, get a bit more money, get that new spoiler, and then suddenly you can just destroy them as well.
Oh yeah, that actually sounds pretty cool.
It can have a brutal learning curve, but I don't think the handling's as bad as the reputation it has. It's you learn it,
and you can actually just cruise. There's no like stages. You just choose to cruise, and when you're cruising, you just meet people, don't you? There's no like stages, and that was the thing that really got me hooked on it, where I could just like cruise around and just like put on a podcast, or like not, you don't have to be properly involved with the game. You can just cruise, and then if you want to kind of challenge someone, you can, or you can just kind of sweep in and out of traffic. It's fantastic playing experience.
Yeah, any game where it just lets you do that.
And sometimes you'll find you go into it and there's no opponents that you can actually take on that you haven't already beaten. You've actually got to pick the right entry point onto the highway in the right direction to generate some new opponents at times.
Sounds interesting. I'm gonna check this out.
Got to get on it, man. I booted up on an emulator recently just to see how good it could look at, like, when you times 6 the native resolution. It looks so fantastic.
I love doing that just to see what holds up. And I tend to find that all 3D Dreamcast games do. Obviously 2D stuff, really, you need that kind of CRT look to make it all mesh properly, but anything 3D, cranking it up, all tends to look pretty good.
Definitely. All right, then. Derek, you're going to give us your slice of heaven?
Oh, my God. I'm actually a little nervous about admitting to this one.
Is it Floygan Brothers?
in a strange twist of fate, my heaven is also sorry, man. That made me crack up. Just yeah, it's also Floygan Brothers. That's
I'll stop
fucking
talking
hilarious.
about Floygan Brothers now. Sorry,
Heugel, Moigel, whatever their names are.
Heugel and Moigel,
all right.
Floygan.
Yes. All right, fellas, and listening public. My slice of heaven game, I shit you not, is Razor Freestyle Scooter.
What?
What?
Talk about a spicy take.
Please.
He's heating up.
Who invited this guy?
Oh my god! All right, let me try to justify this.
I don't know anything about it, but go.
Oh, you're going to learn today. All right, so let me give you a little bit of backstory because, of course, this game has a very deep story that drives the intense metallic scooter action. So it's a robot, right? His name's Norton, as robots tend to be named. And one day he's like putzing around with some kind of machine. I don't know, maybe it was like a PlayStation 2 or something. I'm not really sure, but he messes with this machine. And of course, it leaves him toweringly tall and gigantic, and he loses his mind. You know, typical everyday stuff. And so I guess like naturally his next step was like, oh, I'm going to just start kidnapping a bunch of these Razor freestyle scooter kids, right? These bros and bras or whatever a female bro is, I don't know. And then as the hero, as the protagonist or the person playing these stages, your job is to actually like complete each stage, get high enough scores, complete the final stage, and then, you know, Norton, the angry PlayStation 2 robot, he'll return your friends one by one. And there's also like hidden characters or like secret characters and stuff if you get high enough scores. So that's the premise. And I know this game gets like a lot of shit basically universally for being just, well, I guess being shit. But to me, I mean, okay, so first of all, it's an obvious ripoff of Tony Hawk in terms of like the mechanics, but that's not a bad thing because those mechanics are so perfect. I mean, they did such a great job figuring out a way to like translate movement on a skateboard to using a gamepad, right? So it obviously just borrows or rips off those mechanics, but it also even has like really cheesy pop punk music, like a soundtrack. It's like trying to be even more like Tony Hawk, except there's only like, I want to say there's like 4 tracks. So you just like keep hearing the same ones like all the time, which I guess is a little annoying. And the controls feel kind of like the physics are a bit floaty, if that makes sense. Like as you're jumping around, grinding, doing tricks, you feel like your character is like moving through space just a little too easily. But I actually really quite like that kind of way that they tuned the physics. And, you know, the reason I give this my heaven ranking is not because like, oh yeah, this is just some incredible feat of 6th gen gaming. This is outrageous, fellas. But like, I could throw this game on like anytime, even today. Like I played through this, I don't know, I want to say like a month and a half ago, and I could just sit down and just play it and enjoy it and rock along to the absolute shitty pop punk soundtrack and just be like, I'm fucking spinning my scooter. I'm going, baby. You can't stop me. What time is dinner? All right, I'm playing.
I actually had this not on the Dreamcast. I had it as a pack-in with my Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance version. And
yeah.
The soundtrack of that is so tattooed on my head. And I used to love that game, but I've never played the Dreamcast one. So it's really interesting. Like, that's such a brilliant pick for heaven. Is this something you played when you first got a Dreamcast on launch?
I don't know when the game came out, but it was definitely a burn back in the early 2000s. It wasn't a buy. I mean, it is what it is. That's what it was like back then. But I played a lot of it, when I was younger. And it was one of those ones that I always just kind of like would fire up now and then. It's just like Tony Hawk. Like Tony Hawk is like it's like almost like muscle memory. Just pick up the game, just rip through stages, have fun. That's kind of how I feel about Razor Freestyle Scooter. All right. So, yeah.
I've never played this, but I'm just looking at some screenshots of it now. Do you like go into houses and stuff? Are they like you're going around a little town, there's little missions? It looks pretty cool, actually, dare I say.
You dare, my friend. First of all, though, I'll clear it up. You don't go. It's not like missions, and you don't. I could see why, if you're looking at some still shots, why it might look like that. You are on. You're in a confined stage, but like in those stages, there'll be like different areas and such. Crash through a window, and now suddenly you're like in some part of a warehouse, stuff like that. And then the final stage, which is just like riveting game design choice. It's called Sky Fortress. And you're in the sky. You're floating on a giant little I don't even know what you'd call it. It's not a skate park. What is it? It's a scoot park. Yeah, you're flying. You're scooting around in a scoot park. And the greatest part about the scoot park in the sky is that when you fall, you fucking fall to your death from like thousands of feet in the air.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You fall into the Floygan Brothers junkyard, and the junkyard dogs eat you alive.
That's right. And then Moigel's like, "Hey, what are you doing in my junkyard? What is
my
this
scooter?" I want to play this now. That sounds like so much fun. Yeah.
Can I just say one thing about this? So I appreciate Derek's defense of the game. I have no issue with that. I mean, personally, I couldn't possibly ever have it as a heaven pick, but there is one reason why I do respect this game, and it's already been mentioned, and that's because it has, in its soundtrack, it has this like very little known, short-lived New Jersey post-hardcore band called X Number 5, and it's so in terms of like picks, I don't know who was picking the music in there. Maybe they just needed something that they could get for cheap, but I respect it for that alone.
Well, you a fan of the band, are they? And they happen to be in the game.
Yeah, basically, it's. I think it's just kind of they're a respectable band amongst people other than small scootering children.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really interesting. So have you played the game, Loz? Have you played it much?
I have played it a little. It was actually one of the last games to release here in. I say here in Europe, in PAL territories. It was one of the last games to come out.
I can see on eBay Mike's been pumping this one too because it's over 200 quid. And I think he was pumping your pick as well, Loz. I think everyone's got quite expensive taste here because all of the picks are rather expensive on eBay.
There you go. I swear, though, if just one of you actually goes to give this game like a fair try after we record this and you tell me like, you know what? That game wasn't horrible, and dare I say, I mildly enjoyed it. I will have done my job.
Hey, I'm going to give it a go.
Dude, video in the works.
Well, I will say, Derek, I have played it. I respect the 60 frames a second.
There you
However...
go. Oh, shit. Always a however from Mr. Rocks.
It's not Dave Mirra, is it?
Oh, Dave Mirra sucks, dude. Come on.
That's the best not Tony Hawk game on the Dreamcast.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Mike, you're not my friend anymore.
We were never friends.
Oh my God.
Right, break it up.
I'm pretty sure it Razor's done by a developer that made was it Thrasher or something, or Thrasher Skate. They made a really, really solid skateboarding game on the PS1.
Oh yeah,
and then this came out. So yeah, it's 60 frames a second, and it looks pretty, but
that's about it in your book. Dominic, do I feel a skate sports video coming from your direction or not?
Maybe a Razor freestyle special at this rate, but yeah, I've been playing a lot of boardy games lately. Been playing Trick Style and Sonic Riders and stuff. So and Top Skater on the Model 2 because that's got Pennywise on the soundtrack. That's very cool. So I could see myself getting into this, unironically.
I'm telling you right now what's going to happen. If you play the game and you enjoy it, you're going to call your mom and be like, "Mom, please, for Christmas, I need a Razor scooter. Mom, I need one."
As much as you laugh about that, I was down at my sister's a couple of weeks back, and as I was walking to the shop, they have like a skate park on the way there. And they were on the little mini scooters. Obviously, we didn't call them razors because razor wasn't really a thing over here, apparently. But yeah, it's still a thing.
That's cool. They're back in. Derek, you've got to play the Game Boy Advance game.
Yeah, you know what? I actually knew it had a GBA. I don't even want to call it a port. It's just a version, but I will try it.
If you're a real purist.
But I have a question for Mike. I have a question for Mike, though. He said it was a skate park, but can we please try to just embrace in our lexicon like the term scoot park? Because I'm really thinking it's going to take off with the kids. And
Lewis is going to be disgusted at this, Derek. Lewis.
Yeah, This is Lewis's wheelhouse. He's going to be.
Is this like Uncle Ork?
It's not exactly like Uncle Ork, Mike, because I'm actually pretty sincere.
Scoot park.
Just think about it. Just picture this: all American scenery, a little house with a rocking chair outside, right, and mom's out there.
I'm just thinking like pooper scooper for a dog.
No, you're thinking of it all wrong. You just think of it, Mom. We're going to the scoot park. You can't go to the scoot park. It's a school night. Like that. I mean, come on.
I'll bite.
Uncle Ork's going to be there.
Uncle Ork owns the scoot park.
He's going to be there looking over everyone at the scoot park.
That's right.
Oh man, I'm going to edit in some of the music from Razor Freestyle Scooter.
It has got a good soundtrack.
Yeah,
I mean, that's probably why I love Dave Mirra 1 so much. But
Okay, now I actually have to revisit Dave Mirra because for some reason I'm remembering it being like really bad. But Mike, if you're saying it's actually good, I could be. Wait, are there two BMX games? Dave Mirra,
Matt Hoffman.
Yeah, Matt Hoffman.
Oh, I might be thinking of Matt Hoffman.
That one's not so good.
That's what I'm thinking of then. Okay. I'm going to try Mirra. I know I played it back in the day, but there's like a billion games and I don't have a billion hours.
Technically, it looks like crap. But the actual gameplay and the mechanics are solid.
That matters way more. I
It looks
appreciate
smooth.
that.
It looks really smooth. I haven't played it, but it looks nice. Well, nice and smooth, that is.
And it has Be Quiet and Drive on it by Deftones, which is a plus. But I think we've gone off on a very big tangent here.
Yes.
I really want to hear the next Heavenly game.
Lately, I've been thinking about a girl named Molly. She's the coolest in the world, and she's the kind of girl that makes you wish you could, but when she wakes up in the morning, she's always...
This is the moment you've all been waiting for. My Heavenly game. Whoa, it's Halloween.
I can barely stand it. Please tell us now.
My Heaven game is a game by AM2. And it's a game that is misunderstood. No, it's not misunderstood. It could be hellish if you play it a certain way, but it's absolutely heavenly if you play it with a mouse and keyboard.
I already know what you're going to say.
This game is Outrigger.
Preach.
Yes.
And this is one of my favorite Dreamcast games, and it is a heaven game because I love arena first-person shooters. I love Quake. I love stuff like that. I can just jump in, freaking hammer people with bullets, and there's no story. The story's terrible, but I don't care about the story. I want to just shoot people, and it's fast, it's colorful, it's slick, it's got awesome and amazing cheesy secret agent action hero vibe soundtrack. It runs brilliantly on the Dreamcast. It's got that lovely twitchy kind of combat and shooting. There's different characters with different guns, and you can switch between first and third person perspective, and it really works. It's not like one of them's useless and you just stay on one of them like Spawn of the Demon's Hand. That's terrible. But this actually works, and it kind of gives me like an arcadey Counter-Strike vibe, and I really like those sorts of games, and this game just does it for me. I can always play it. I think it's fantastic, and if it ever comes online one day, I will be so pleased. But I don't mind playing with bots for now, with a keyboard and mouse, and it's fantastic. So I love Outrigger. It's one of those games, my only game that I've bought, the PAL and the Japanese version, because I'm sad, and it's just fantastic. You can't play it with the controller. It's too difficult. It's too much of a nightmare, and I think that's the problem with the game. Yeah, obviously you need the dual thumbsticks for a first-person shooter, but even then, it's like jump is right trigger or something stupid like that, and shoot is A or B, and they just got the controls all wrong. But if you play it with keyboard, it's fantastic.
That's because the Japanese didn't do first-person shooters in 2000 other than AM2. They used to actively avoid the genre. In the late 90s in Japan, it caused a lot of motion sickness.
Why is that?
It's beyond the realm of our comprehension. We need someone with, I don't know, a doctor on it maybe.
I don't know if it's just they weren't used to the genre, because I'm going to say we used to have first-person stuff in like the 80s.
Yeah, they didn't grow up with Doom, I guess.
They didn't grow up with Doom, and they didn't grow up with Elite, the best of the open world 3D stuff.
Very interesting. Anyone else played Outrigger, or does everyone hate it? Most people I talk to really don't like it.
No, Outrigger's great.
It looks great. It moves great. I think I've never played it with mouse and keyboard, so I will give that a try. I've been planning doing that for a while anyway, but yeah, I'll definitely have a look at that. But I feel like I need to get an American version now, just in case to get the online back on.
Yeah, you can get the Japanese version. It's totally playable. Like the menus and that are in English and stuff. That's why I bought the Japanese one, because it's way cheaper.
Yeah, I was going to ask, why do you have both copies of it? Is there anything different about the Japanese one, or is
it has online?
Cheaper?
So
okay.
The PAL version had the online stripped out of it, so there's no online. So it's kind of like it's fun. Yeah, I know. It's if you download a GDI of it, and you can play it in an emulator with a keyboard and mouse, obviously, and it's looks fantastic upscaled, and it's really fun against bots. And there's is it a mission mode or an arcade? No, it's the mission mode, and the first handful of missions are really, really crap. They're like tutorials, but then it gets quite good, and the challenges are brilliant. And when you kill people, it drops little clocks and it extends your time, and you get caught in this fantastic gameplay loop of like trying to kill people to get the little clocks and get another 15 seconds, and it's brilliant.
See, that sounds like the bit I've probably missed out on because I hadn't realised it was there. That's
Yeah, you got to really penetrate the game and unlock a few bits and bobs, and then you unlock some fantastic missions. And if you can really that's the problem with it. They didn't design it so when you jump in, you're immediately in the fun. They kind of put these annoying barriers in the way to help you learn, and I don't think many people need that.
I think you got to learn the Japanese arcade scene at that time as well, though.
Yeah. Yeah,
you're right. Even the Initial D and stuff where you have save files on cards, and it's like, what? I just put me quid in. That's it.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Interesting. Derek, you were going to say something before.
I've played this one, quite a bit. Not in some years, though, I have to be honest. But me and my friends back in the day, this was one that we definitely sunk a ton of hours into. And I must admit, I had no friggin' clue you could play this with a mouse and keyboard. And I am very intrigued now because I do remember the controls being, challenging, like so many 3D games were before dual analog sticks and such. But I can't believe it actually supports mouse and keyboard. That's very interesting.
It's so smooth with a mouse and keyboard. Here's the weird thing. This is just the controls, in this game are inherently cursed in all areas because they don't use WASD. If you put your fingers on WASD and move them one key each to the right, they use ESD and F to move right, just slightly off. It's very odd and annoying, but once you get used to it, it's probably one of my most played Dreamcast games, apart from Shenmue, just the mission mode, the whatever mode it's called, when you kind of trying to get through to the end. I'm stuck on it on a really hard one. But if you can give it some time, you can customize the controls, it is so worth it. And Derek, when you played, did you play split screen with friends?
Let me think. So Outrigger,
because you can do 4-player split screen. It's one of the which I've never done.
It would have had to have been, right? There's no other way to do multiplayer.
Aside from online.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're at. Okay, I see why you were asking for clarification. Yeah, no, I meant what we call couch co-op today. Yeah.
Ooh. And
AKA sitting on the end of my bed. playing Dreamcast.
Did it? I'm interested to know like what the performance. Maybe we weren't aware of kind of this kind of stuff back then, but what the performance of the game is when you got 4 people playing at once.
Yeah, I actually couldn't comment on that. It was definitely at an age where I was like, frame rates, what's that? You know?
Yeah. You've not only got to get 4 people into a room, you've got to get 4 people who can put up with the controller controls of Trigger in a room to play together. One day we can maybe do it.
Oh, and especially because back then I definitely had the stereotypical, this is your controller, you know, the third party special. Yeah. Oh yeah, baby. The Mad Cats. Here, this one's yours. Good luck.
Good. And I think I dug up a review of Trigger here. No, I didn't.
You know, there's a lovely brief review for it on the top 200 written by someone. Yeah.
Now's your time to shine. Whip it up, Lars.
So it came in at number 97 out of 200.
Just about made it into 100.
Yeah, so I stated here it was me, and what I stated here was that it was a disgrace that Quake 3 Arena had beaten the plucky Outrigger once again, and basically I was saying that the other games, the other first-person shooters on the console are probably objectively better. So like Unreal Tournament, Quake 3, but Outrigger just screams Sega. It is what a first-person shooter should be like on the Dreamcast. And I think that basically it's not given enough time by a lot of people. I think part of it may be the controls. Interestingly enough, in Japan, I don't know if this is another one that you can add to your wish list, Harvey, but they did sell a version that came boxed with a kind of clear little transparent mouse as well. So I think even Sega knew that it was not to be played with a controller.
I am aware of that pack. The reason I haven't gone for it, although it would look nice on the shelf, as we all know, the mouse is the tiny version. It's like the little one. And the PAL mouse is a lot bigger. And that's kind of why I haven't gone for that. But yeah, I am keen. One day I do want to buy the North American version as well.
So what you're saying is you want something that makes your hand look bigger.
Yes, exactly.
That's all I got from that.
I've already got one of those. But
oh shit. Giggity.
That's my pick. Oh, and also IGN gave it 8 not that we all worship IGN, whatever. It was the review that came up. They gave it 8.9 out of 10. And they kind of said what you said, Loz, about how it screams Sega and it's a unique experience because it's a first-person shooter by Sega and just an all-round fantastic game. But that's me, and that's my pick. And that's everyone's. So we made it to the end, gentlemen. Well done. And I guess, we've been recording for quite a while now. Anyone else got anything to say before I cap it off?
I think all good.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's... Derek's going to lay down the law now.
No, I was just going to say, listen, if your nose runs and your feet smell, you were born upside down. That's all I got to say.
And on that bombshell, Derek, have you got anywhere you'd like people to find you online?
Yeah, horriblejokes.com. I've been running it for decades.
Have you been running it with Uncle Orc?
Oh, of course. He's actually one of the founding members, but I didn't give him any equity. Don't tell him. So you can find me on my website, dreamcastforever.com. I've got links to the accounts I have on virtually every forum or other things like YouTube and such there, as well as links to all my translation patch projects and other little utilities, libraries, and things like that I've written around the retro game space. And on the artist formerly known as Twitter, you can find me under my full name, Derek Pascarella. But if you can't spell that, just go to Dreamcast Forever, hit the contact tab, and you will find my link there. thank you.
Nice one. What about you, Mike?
No, I'm going low.
Good. No, that's cool. I rate that. Dom, you want to plug your channel?
Yeah, so I've got the YouTube channel. If you just search for Dreamcast Enjoyer, you should find me. And I'm also on Blue Sky and Twitter until it explodes, if that happens.
Fantastic. Loz, how about you?
I would just say you can find me on the dreamcastjunkyard.co.uk, where I am occasionally scribbling things. And the only other thing I want to say is if there are any children out there listening to this, please don't pick up a scooter. The skateboard's the better choice.
Well, obviously it's the better choice, but I mean, I really can't defend this in any way.
Only until the street lights go out.
Hey, you can still ride a skateboard at a scoot park. Am I right?
Oh, hell yeah.
If you want to help us keep the lights on here at the Dreamcast Junkyard, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/DCJunkyard. Buy us a VMU battery to keep the VMU lights on. That'd be nice. And you can find us on Twitter or the artist formerly known as X under at the DC Junkyard. And there's also a Facebook page, but I didn't write down the URL for that. So happy Halloween. Thank you very much.
This is a Dreamcast disc. 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 Disc, and is for use only on a Dreamcast unit. Playing this disc on a hi-fi or other audio equipment can cause serious damage to its speakers. Please stop this disc now.
I don't mind playing with bots for now, with a keyboard and mouse, and it's fantastic.
And it's called...
Outrigger, I said it, didn't I?
Oh, maybe you did.
You did say it. You did say
You can
it.
disconnect if you want, Lots.
You can edit that out.
I'll edit what you just said at the beginning of before I say it.